Hi guys, it's Erin and I'm here with another Project Life Sunday, and I'm going to start off by saying you'll have to forgive me if there's any weird gaps in this. I've had to put off this narration for a couple days because I haven't been able to breathe, so I might have to mute myself. We'll see. Anyway, this is what I'm going to do for week 49 through 52, which is basically all of December. So November 1st through December 31st, which isn't quite, it's pretty much in the first week of 2016 as well, but I'm kind of going to split it up because I think I'm going to do more of a month in review kind of a thing than go week by week, so it's just going to be January and, February, March, and all that next year. But we'll see how the weeks go, how many photos I take, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, about this actual layout, what I'm doing here is, since I did join Cocoa Daisy, and since I am also a member of the Gossamer Blue Life Pages kit, I have 2 kits for January, and I'm going to have 2 kits for every month continuing forward. But if you'll remember my unboxing video, I wasn't really a fan of Gossamer Blue's December kit, and since I was doing this whole, gigantic review of December, I didn't really want to work with a kit that I didn't really enjoy. So I thought that I would use Gossamer Blue's January kit primarily for this spread, and for the end of the year kind of a thing. And then I would just use Cocoa Daisy's January kit for actual January. And when I spread it out, it actually did work really well. And you can see that I had spread it out when I started the video, and then I've continued to successively move things around. And I did end up mixing in some of the cards from the December kit, different patterns, some of the saying cards, the Hello 2016 one, just to be able to use them and to have more variety, because there were like 2 heart cards in the January kit, and I didn't really want to include those. I'm not a fan of the red, so I'm like, oh, how can I get rid of some of the red? I'll just add this card in here instead. And so you saw me moving those around, and I really like the labels here from this from the kit. I forget where they're from, but I think they're from Fancy Pants. I could be wrong. But I really like the labels because it's going to give me places to put my journaling. And so that's what I figured that I would do, was just give each card some kind of journaling spot with these labels. And but I also want to make sure that I keep the shapes separate from each other, so you're not seeing the same shape on the same card, that kind of a thing. You can see me here. I'm using that phrase card instead of as a filler. I'm using it just to build up my, what do you call it, like a title card, I guess it is, for December. And I'm going to use these letters from the kit. I'm pretty sure this is from the December kit. I'm going to use these to spell out December, which I actually had to plot it out at first. I'm like, D-E-C-E-O. Okay, I have enough E's, because I was scared. I'm like, I'll get through halfway through the letter or halfway through the word and I won't be able to do it. I wanted to use some of these stickers. There's 2 sheets, and it kind of sucks for me because I am not a fan of gold, and I wanted to keep gold out of my kits. But I did want to use some of the stickers, so I was able to include it in this little cluster thing. And you see me writing the 49 and 52 in my week thing. I got to use that stamp the entire year, so it gives it a nice cohesive look, which I think is good. And I was trying to use another sticker there, maybe cover some of that white space. I got to learn how to use more white space. I'm always covering it up or trying to clutter it up. And white space isn't a bad thing. As long as it's not trapped white space, then you have a problem. But I think that's a good amount of white space. But you see here, I'm putting this card here with that cool frame type thing. I thought, well, there's 2 of the same shape right next to each other. So I shifted the cards around a bit so that they're not in the same spot, while also trying to keep the pictures in somewhat of a chronological order, because I am still a big chronological person. So I wanted to make sure that the stuff that happened in the beginning of the month didn't end up like all the way on the other side of the layout, that kind of thing. So I just have a lot of photos that didn't aren't going to make it into the road trip journal because the road trip album is pretty much, December daily type stuff. So you're going to get some of this, oh, we went to Disneyland, blah, blah, blah. But I have the actual pictures of like us in front of the tree for that one instead of just me wearing the hat like in this album. And, I've got a photo there of that man there is a photo of my character in Fallout 4. His name is Garrett. Garrett Filion, actually, because I'm a total nerd, that's why. But anyway, I put that on there because we were going on a trip for 3 weeks, and here's a game that has basically just come out. I haven't finished yet. I don't know the main story, and I can be spoiled. So I was trying to play as much of it as I could, but I couldn't quite. Yeah, I didn't want to rush through it. You still want to enjoy the game. So I'd spend as much time with Garrett as I could. You can see on there on the to-do card is the picture I took of myself making Christmas cards, coloring the images and listening to Pentatonic's holidays, holiday album, I guess. It's hard to remember, like, they're still albums even though they're not records anymore. And, I'm barely old enough to remember records, but still. I'm only 33 this year. But I also took a photo of, I realized somewhere in there, planning out to make sure that I had videos for you guys to watch. I realized that, hey, I have, if I work just a little harder and plan out a little bit more, I can have 150 videos made in 2015. So, while I was doing all this other crafting and making holiday cards and, stuff like that, I made sure that there was Project Life, there was coloring videos and all of that. So yes, there were 150 new videos in 2015 on my channel. And I will attempt to get somewhere around there this year. There might be less Project Life, so that might be a little hard for me. But we'll see, And here I'm kind of wanting to keep the cards simple just because now that I have patterned cards, from Gossamer Blue, I have cards that actually look good and are well designed as opposed to me just, screwing around with my paper and attempting to make something that looks interesting. So I don't want to cover up too much, but I do want to make sure I cover up things I don't like. So I didn't need the 2015 on this card, so I thought, okay, well, I'll cover it up with this hashtag and, I don't always need some of the phrases, so I'll cover that up but leave the pattern, that kind of a thing. And I also tried in this layout to do some, more unexpected things like turning the cards sideways, even if they were meant to go the other way. With the two cards in the middle on the left-hand page, like, I'm going to put the journaling sideways because why not? I mean, there's no police here, and if they are, I'm not going to listen to them. For this card, it's part of the card that I cut off for the title, for the little circle date thing, and I'm going to make that a journaling spot, and then I decided I was supposed to layer it a different way, so I just kind of ripped that off there and glued it back on in a different spot. It's called scrapbooking for a reason. You can use scraps. So I just kind of finagled that into there, and now I have a nice journaling spot, and squaring it off because I put it on a little sideways. But you can see I'm constantly shifting the cards on the layout of this to make sure that there's not, 7 black cards against each other or 7 blue cards against each other, that kind of a thing, just so that it's more varied and pleasing to the eye without me having to do a whole lot. And I think that, adding visual interest doesn't really require, oh, well, you have to add layer after layer after layer after layer. You can actually just do it with simple things like paper. And here you get to see me cutting this card incorrectly. I was supposed to flip it over before I cut it because I knew how I wanted to design it. So here you see me fixing my mistake. And what I'm doing is I'm just making sure that when I cut this card all the way across that these 3 pieces are going to line up. And then I'm just going to glue them back on the bottom of the card how I wanted them, so that they'll fit together. And once they come together, even in real life, you can't see that this card was cut apart. But I'm like, okay, I want to scoot it up a little bit. So I go ahead and do that. I don't know why the camera angle is so weird. I did move my camera, and I'm working on trying to get it set correctly. You can see my head in there. I'm actually working on the edge of the desk. I don't know why it looks like we're looking like top down at it, but I'll try and get that better next time. and I used the cut off pieces from the bottom to decorate the top of the card just so that it would have a more cohesive feel to it. And I'm just rubbing off the extra glue there. I'm going to cut out this little jar because I knew I didn't want to use it as a card, but I thought it would make a good decoration for this so that the card actually says, hey, hello 2016, and then the little jar says lots of love. I figured that wasn't, too campy. I don't like a whole lot of the sentiments lately. I mean, I'm not talking about like the Gossamer Blue cards. I'm just talking like in general scrapbooking thing. There's a whole lot of not just the hello everything or best day ever everything. Sometimes things are just way too cheerful for me. I'm sorry, I am not a cheerful person. I'm surprisingly mellow for somebody with ADHD, for one, and for two, it's like I'm just not this, everything's the best thing ever, which is probably why my word for 2016 is actually happiness, and my husband picked it because he's like, dude, seriously, focus on happiness already. What is wrong with you? Clinical depression, that's what's wrong with me, honey, but also just a general crazy outlook on life. So the extreme happiness sometimes gets to me, and I try not to include too much of it when using scrapbook products, but it was a really random tangent. I was worried about that because you can like straight up look down my shirt. Please don't look down my shirt. I'm a total weirdo, I know, I'm sorry. This is why I don't scrapbook while I'm standing, because I don't notice these things. So I'm just like standing and leaning over the thing and I can't see. But I thought that I would use these stickers instead because there's already a lot going on with all of these cards, and you're looking at an entire month of our lives. And I thought, there's so much going on that it's just going to totally blow out anybody that's looking at this. So just some stickers and some flat stuff. I didn't want to add more embellishments than that. So I'm going to give you a quick look at that, and I'm going to say very, very thank you very much for watching these, for keeping me motivated, and for continuing on into 2016. Thank you so much for watching. All right, bye-bye.